Hi guys, welcome back to episode number 12 of Adapting to Change podcast. I'm your host Alex McMahon. I'm here once again with co-hosts Nick and Alan, and I'm very pleased to be able to introduce our guest, Peter Alsop, who's joined us today from the very popular YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and every other social media platform that there is.
Yeah, don't forget YouTube.
And YouTube, PJ Audits. So welcome to the studio, Pete. Thanks for coming and spending some time to chat with us. I know we spoke off camera and you mentioned about sharing this final video with your audience as well. So just for your audience, for your benefit, we're a security manned guarding company and cleaning company. So we're kind of at the other end of a lot of the people that you go out and see. So we just wanted to kind of get together, have a chat and just kind of see what it's all about, really. So, I mean, just before we get into all of that sort of good stuff, for our audience, why don't you just give us a bit of context about yourself, Pete? I know we spoke again off camera about what you did before you got into this line of work, but just for our audience, just tell us a bit about yourself.
Basically, as a young lad, I joined the army, to be honest, 15 years old. Served with the army for a long time, travelled the world, seen sights. Finished with the army. I worked down the coal mine for a very short while. Obviously, that didn't last long, did it? And I went to university. Did an engineering degree, so I've been an engineer more or less all my life.
Were you doing engineering in the army as well, you said?
Yeah, I was a Royal Engineer originally, and then as soon as I was 18, I went airborne, used to jump out of aeroplanes. Sometimes used to give me a parachute. And once I finished, while I was at university, I started a company up that supplied drivers, an agency. Mm-hmm. And while I was doing that, I thought, well, I'm sending drivers out, and they're running around in a big Arctic, with a 44-foot trailer on the back with 2 pallets on. And I thought, why don't I get myself a little, because it was mostly fridge work that we did, why don't I get myself a little fridge van, get back in touch with these companies, say, look, don't send a great big Arctic all the way up to Scotland. I've got a van that'll carry 3 pallets. Send me up. It'll be a lot cheaper. And I started doing that. And then progressed from there into larger and larger vehicles. I was having problems getting drivers and stuff, and it was long hours and it was hassle. So I started teaching people to drive the trucks to get more drivers, and that turned out to be more profitable than actually running the trucks.
Yeah.
So I kind of got rid of the haulage business and just carried on teaching people to drive. Then I got the opportunity to do some contract work for a company in Sheffield, and they said, do you want to start teaching people to drive the fork trucks and things? So I did the fork truck instructors course. And the thing about that is, if you get a fork truck licence, and you end up as an instructor, you've only got to get qualified on other vehicles to be able to teach them. So if you can teach a counterbalance fork truck, and then you go along and you do a reach fork truck, then you don't have to do another course. You're entitled to teach that as well. And the same thing applies to things like cherry pickers and scissor lifts and stuff like that. Now, the licences that you need to go on building sites to operate them are totally different to operating them in, factories and things like that. And then I got the opportunity to start teaching heavy plant, the earth-moving equipment, the 360s and graders and all that kind of stuff. So I did that and eventually started doing it all for myself. I mean, I had my own driving school anyway, with the trucks. So I started incorporating some of this other stuff that I had the opportunity to learn while I was subcontracting for somebody else. That carried on for quite a while, and then I made the mistake of thinking, I'm going to do NVQs and modern apprenticeships, got a contract with Hull College, and it was the worst thing I ever did.
All right.
The paperwork was horrendous. It's the only qualification where the instructors do more work than the trainees. And it took me away from what I loved doing. I loved mixing with people, meeting people, teaching people, interacting and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. So I thought, I'm going on a bit now. It's time to get rid. So I passed it on to somebody else for some money and retired.
Retired. So was that like the last job that you did before you moved into what you do now?
No. I got bored. I'm not one to sit on my backside all day and do nothing. I started getting a bit pub fit, because I've never really been a drinker. And I started going to the Forces breakfast clubs, and they all liked a beer or two there. And so, I started spending a bit more time in the pub, and I thought, I don't want to do this. But one of my friends ran a taxi company and said, why don't you get a taxi licence and come and do a bit of driving for me? So I did, and I enjoyed it. So I went and bought a taxi and set myself up in the taxi business. And then COVID came.
Right.
And one Saturday I got on the taxi rank at 9 a.m. and finished at 4:30, and I'd taken £12.50, and I said, that's it, done.
Wow.
So I was back to what am I going to do now? And I thought, well, I quite fancy a go at doing some YouTubes. And I'd watch one or two people, AB doing police stations and things, and I thought, I don't really want to do police stations. I'm more interested in industry. So I got my camera. I started off with just my phone, and I spent about 120 quid on a gimbal for my phone and started doing it like that. But the audio wasn't fantastic when it was windy, and started building my equipment up. This before I had the drone. And
so when did you start then?
Just over 3 years ago.
Right, okay. So, you built up quite a following in a really short space of time. I was looking at your various channels and your platforms. You've got over 70,000 subscribers on YouTube. You've got, I've got some of the stats just on my screen. You've got over 12,000 followers on TikTok, 45,000 followers on Facebook, and those were just those three that I looked at. So you're looking at 6 figures in, 3 years?
Yeah, I was monetised in 4 weeks.
4 weeks. I was going to say, because you can kind of see the analytics on your YouTube channel. You've got over 35 million views on YouTube.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, recognised everywhere.
I'll bet you got a bit of a distinctive look, so.
Yeah, it's the dreadlocks.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. So, was that the light bulb moment for you? What was the light bulb moment? You mentioned you wanted to get into YouTube. What kind of pushed you into doing kind of the auditing side of stuff?
I wanted something to do. I wanted something that wasn't. I didn't want a job as such. I didn't want to go and sit in an office or work in a factory and more or less from coming out of the army, apart from a few weeks working for the coal board, while everything was closing down, I did work for myself all, rest of my life.
So what was the motivation for you to start at that point in time? So what was it, a genuine interest in, like you say, industry, or was there an opportunity you saw, people were making money through YouTube, social media, etc.?
I didn't really do it for the money.
No, so it was the love. It was getting information about things you didn't know about, effectively.
Several things really. First of all, I wanted something to do. I've got a very low boredom threshold. I can't sit and watch telly and things like that. Mrs. PJ always says to me, "Will you bloody sit down? Come and sit on set. Come and watch this with me on TV." Don't get me wrong. There's the odd thing I like to watch on TV.
Yeah.
When a film comes on and it says, things like contains violence and sex. Right, well, watch this one, you know. But other than that, you know, like the EastEnders and the Coronation Street and that, just absolutely nothing for me. It boring.
Yeah. So what we think? Like, I like to say, what was that light bulb moment that you thought, I want to get into this. I want to start doing some videos about.
I wanted something to do. I've always been interested in photography.
Yeah.
I've never really done anything in the video making line. So it gave me the opportunity to learn something new. I'd never done any video editing or anything, so once again, it was a new skill I had to learn. And I'm always learning something. I'm learning Egyptian Arabic at the minute,
Okay.
which is not the easiest thing to learn. My Spanish is not too bad, but my Egyptian Arabic is very poor. But I've not been doing it long. So I needed something to do. I needed something where I could interact with people. You know, I've always enjoyed meeting people, and there's some. I mean, I know there's some idiots out there, but there's some wonderful people out there. There really is. People that, for no reason at all, will give you the time to stand and talk to you and tell you what's happening. You know, even when they're very busy themselves, they will take time out of the busy schedule to explain things to you and tell you what they do and how they do it. And to me, that's interesting. That's really, really interesting. And they're the people I love to meet. You know.
So what are your main scope of works in terms of what you're doing now, Pete? Is it like security gatehouses? Is it manufacturing industry? Is it a combination of all?
Any kind of industry, to be honest. If I'm going out videoing, I'll go on my computer, I'll look on Google Maps, and I'll not put the map section on, I'll put the aerial view on, and I'll look for industrial estates. So they stand out. And I'll have a look what factories are there, and I think, oh, look, food manufacturing place there, there's an engineering place there, and this and that and the other. That looks somewhere interesting. It's got a wide variety of different industries. Some are small, some are large. So it's a varied and interesting place to go. People say to me, don't you... It's boring, it's an industrial estate, but for me, they're not.
I mean, what is it that you're auditing as such? What are you going to look for? Or is it just to kind of go and see what's there?
I think I named the channel Auditing because that's what some other people were doing, you know, it's following what other people were doing, but...
it's basically exploring, isn't it? You're exploring those venues. Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. There are times when we see dangerous practices. I mean, myself and my good friend DJ was at a place, and this guy was driving around in a fork truck with a stack that was right up in the air. He's driving forward. He's driving like a lunatic. Couldn't see where he was going. He could kill somebody.
I've seen the video. Yeah.
And things like that we like to try and highlight. But generally speaking, when I go out, it's because I want to know what's going off. I'm a nosy.
So, I mean, just on that, it's probably a difficult question. The ramifications for that individual, you're not reporting it, but putting it out there in the public domain about him having practices. Now, you could argue there's a safety awareness piece there, but potentially that person could end up in trouble, basically.
Well, we spoke. We got his manager out actually, and spoke to his manager. The idiot was still doing it while his manager was there talking to us. You know, and the manager says, "We're going to have a word with him." I says, anybody who's been taught to drive a fork truck and has got a fork truck licence should know better than that.
Yeah.
And the manager says, I totally agree, and don't worry, we will have a word with him. So, in some ways, I mean, and I know this incident doesn't look very good on the driver, and it doesn't look fantastic on the company, but it shows that the company is willing to sometimes listen to what we say and react to it.
I'm sure, though, for every instance that you've had like that, where someone's willing to actually come and engage with you and have a civilised conversation, there's plenty of people who aren't.
To be honest, I get more people come and have a civil conversation with me than a aggressive conversation.
Really? What would you say the split is? Is it like 60-70% of people are okay and are amicable, and you've got...
I would say 70-75% of people are...
Reasonable?
Reasonable, yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
On that, do they all end up on your YouTube channel or is it social medias, or do you think I'm there's nothing in that content? I've visited that site, I've not got any reactions. There's nothing really interesting there. So I'm talking about the people interactions. Do you then put it on YouTube, or do you not bother?
If somebody comes and has an interaction with me, unless they just come along and say, "What you doing?" I'm videoing. Okay, see ya. That's not worth putting on.
No.
If somebody comes along and has an interaction with me that's even like 4 or 5 minutes long, I'll put that on.
Yeah.
Even if it's
Benign.
not boring. Yeah, a bit mundane.
Yeah.
Not clickable.
I mean, so somebody interested.
Well, I think everything's clickable because, you know, what's interesting for you is not interesting for me. I mean, everybody's going mad about football at the moment. Bloody hate football. But you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
Strokes for folks.
Yeah, true.
And
I guess it's the altercations that get the most hits, though, that the most views, the most
that was
likes.
going to be one of the things I come on to. 'Cause there are channels out there who do this kind of thing, and you can tell from the get-go they are there just purely to antagonise a reaction. So they get a bit of clickbait, a video that's maybe going to go viral.
I totally agree. And sometimes I get tired with the same brush. But generally speaking, when people come out to talk to me, unless they're shouting and roping at me when they're approaching me, I always have the attitude that I'm going to be respectful and I'm going to speak to them properly. And when people come up to me, I say, "Hey up, mate. Hey up, Duck. How are you doing?" You know.
I was going to say, we watched a lot of your videos, and that theme does come across. It's always starts at your end with a level of respect.
Yeah, I don't bait people right from the start. But don't get me wrong, you know, if somebody
opens the door slightly,
somebody opens the door, then I'll react, and it depends how wide they open the door. If they're just a little bit stroppy, then I'll just be a little bit stroppy back. But if they get really...
Do you think some people almost, because I mean this is like a well-known practice now, probably across the country, people see these type of videos all the time. Do you think people almost, like you said, you get tired of the brush, people expect you to be like that? You're here to film a reaction video, you're here to...
Oh, I get constantly accused of it. I mean, if you read some of the comments I get on YouTube and Facebook, you know, get a job and get your hair cut.
Such a body weight
Yeah, oh, look at you, you know, with a bloody scruff, or you're a pretend black man with your dreadlocks. Some of the stuff they come out with, oh, I hope you get cancer and die. Some of the stuff they come out with, some of the stuff they come out with is hateful. And I just think, I think to myself, that shows more about you than it does about me. That shows more about the type of person that you are than the type of person I am. You know, apparently, if you read some of the comments, people that go out and video factories and things like that are paedophiles.
Okay.
No, seriously.
I mean, it's just a bizarre comment, isn't it? But
that's the type of comment that some people come on, and I think to myself, you need to have a look in a dictionary to see what a paedophile is.
Yeah. But it's the same with the people who put comments. Usually have got some sort of strong opinion either way. But you know, what gets me watching the videos is the sort of knowledge level of those individuals that you're talking to, and I think some of them are incredibly naive, you know, in what you can and can't do as a member of the public, you know. So, and I think, you know, whether you're flying a drone or you know, filming the site, they don't have that knowledge, and I think.
What are the restrictions on drone flying? So I'm sure you'll know, obviously. 'Cause you
Basically,
use the drone.
the type of drone that I fly and most of the auditors fly, I know, same with DJ, we fly a sub 250 gram drone. I've got a Mini 3, he's got a Mini 4. And the restrictions, literally, if you go on the CAA website, you can fly anywhere apart from over prisons, around airfields, and one or two very sensitive areas, MOD places
Military,
and things
yeah.
like that. But other than that, if you go on the CAA website, it says you can fly over built-up areas, recreational parks, industrial areas, shopping centres, town centres, the whole kit and caboodle. The only thing you can't fly over is crowds of people. Now,
like a designated crowd. Or just
Like an event.
like an
an event or
whatever.
something like that. I think the classic a crowd is not like 5 or 6 people, but something in the region of 100 people, all crowded in together.
So I think, for me, I think a lot of, like you said, you quite right said, naivety of people is there's almost an air of, well, you can't film me because you don't have my permission. This
Exactly.
is my GDPR, all that sort of.
Yeah.
All that sort of nonsense. Is that the main kind of comment that you tend to get back from people when you've got your
You don't
camera?
you don't have my permission to film me. You're not allowed to use my image. You're breaking GDPR, and they don't understand that there's no such thing as privacy in a public place. So if I'm in a public place, in a public street, if I want to walk round, say a market, and photograph or film stall holders, people going about shopping, etc., I'm quite within my right to do it.
Anyone is.
Anyone is, yeah, absolutely anybody.
So, like in terms of, I know you mentioned their public place. So, if you're flying your drone over, I don't know, just a factory, for example, and that's within their building boundary. Doesn't matter.
No, the CAA control the airspace.
So
They own or rent or lease the property, the building, the land, etc. And as long as that drone doesn't interfere with any work that they're doing, I'm quite legal to fly over. Now, I wouldn't fly a drone around the site at 10 foot high, but I'd certainly keep it above rooftop level.
So you get the aerial shot.
To get the aerial shots, yeah.
I think some people believe they have not just the space on the ground, but all the way up effectively as well.
Yeah.
The other thing that people believe is that you're not allowed within 50 metres. Now, certain drones aren't.
Does that again depend on the weight class?
It depends on the weight class. Yeah.
And you have to keep line of sight as well.
You have to keep line of sight, yeah.
I always find it surprising how a lot of the police that turn up, they don't understand the legislation as well and the regulations, and they're confused with it.
You'll be amazed how many policemen, men and women, have said to me, I've watched a lot of your videos and I've learnt a lot.
Yeah,
I've learnt things that I didn't know, especially about drones and photography and
Well,
public.
I had no idea about the regulations with drones before watching these audits.
Yeah, and
then,
the police don't. A lot of police don't.
Yeah, and then you watch them, and one of the auditors says this is regulation. It's like, no, it's not. It can't be. And then you research. It's like, oh, he's right. Actually.
Yeah. And I often say to people, look, I do this for a living. I do know what I'm talking about. I've got X hundreds of videos on YouTube and Facebook and everything. If I don't know what I'm talking about now, it's about time I give up.
One thing that always surprises me as a security professional is how many people don't display their licences. It seems to be every other video.
Yeah.
You're saying,
Where's
either
your
you or
SIA?
DJ, where's your SIA? Are you security? Yeah, where's your SIA licence?
Yeah.
It's in my bag.
It's my bag.
Yeah, it's in the office, it's in my pocket, And I've started saying to him now, no, you can't be security. Yeah, I am. No, you can't, mate. You're not wearing a badge. It's in office. Well, you're not security then. You're not wearing a badge, you're not security.
I know you're there to an audit. It is auditable.
Yeah.
So we are checked on our employees
Yeah.
having the the licence on display.
Yeah, and you'll say to them, look, it's law that you display this. No, it's not. Yeah, it is.
That's 101, isn't it?
Yep.
Security
Yeah.
training.
Yeah.
So I mean, in like terms of socials, like the likes of YouTube, Instagram, etc. If you were to have like a league table of people who do your like line of work like yourself, like DJ Audits, etc., where would you kind of rank in terms of like a following? Are you like quite near to the top, or are you like? I know you've obviously got several 100,000 followers across various platforms.
I would say AB's the king, Auditing Britain's the king. But he doesn't necessarily do industry, he does police stations more than anything.
Right, okay.
When
we spoke on the phone, you said that that's something you absolutely
Yeah,
don't.
I was going to ask that question.
I think I've done one police station out of all my...
And what's your thoughts on that? Why do you avoid them?
I don't like them. No, I'll be honest. I think they're boring.
Right. So, some of these auditors, they actually sort of make an issue out of sort of placing themselves at the back gate and flying the drones, and so it's almost wasting police time, isn't it?
That is, to me, that's deliberately going out your way to mind people.
That's where my issue is. I think. And what about have you ever been accused of under sort of anti-terrorism legislation?
Constantly.
I mean, a lot of them do, and I see that, and I think, what's your thoughts around that? I mean, we in the security industry, we're massive on anti-terrorism and training, act awareness, scan, etc. So hostile reconnaissance. I can never say that word. and effectively, we've got people, within the auditing community that put themselves in that position where they could be seen to be sort of doing some
hostile reconnaissance.
Yes, I don't want to say it again, but yeah.
Yeah. If that's what I was doing, I wouldn't make myself as conspicuous.
No, and I get that.
I wouldn't walk around with hair like I've got, in shorts, with a body cam on, and
I mean, it doesn't fit the profile of someone doing hostile.
That's the thing, isn't it? But we're stereotyping in that respect as well. So.
But there again, people say, "How do I know that you're not, like hidden in plain sight kind of thing?" But as far as that goes, I mean, things were worse in the 70s than they were blowing pubs up.
No, absolutely. And I take your point on that, because I did hear you talk about that on one of your videos. I think you're absolutely right there.
Yeah, things were a lot worse in the 70s than they are now. But there again, I think the security forces, MI5 and whoever they are a lot more on the ball than they were then. And they were homegrown terrorists then.
Yes, yeah.
Which are a lot harder to detect than the modern day terrorists. And they use a different method now. Rather than blowing stuff up, they'll just walk along and drive up a curb and run people over, or run around with a knife and stab as many people as they can till the police come and stop them one way or another.
So who's number one then? Auditing Britain.
Auditing Britain, yeah.
I'm sure I've seen his videos.
I think he's got something in the region of getting on for 250,000 subscribers now. The second place has got to be my good friend DJ.
So I've seen loads of DJs videos. I've never seen his face. Does he never show his face? No. Because you always sort of berate over you always to show your face on the video.
Yeah, I don't care. I mean, I'm that good looking that I think everybody's got a right to see my face.
Exactly. Exactly.
Public service.
Add to the views.
And I'm modest as well.
No, we noticed.
No, DJ's got a young family.
Yeah.
So he likes to
protect his identity.
Protects his identity to protect his kids, which I totally understand. Maybe when kids get a bit older, then it might be a different story. But,
I mean, what's your thoughts, Pete, on like I'll call them rogue operators within your industry who are kind of going out there to deliberately like stoke up situations and get people kind of into trouble or to lose their jobs, or what's your view on that? Because it's almost like giving people like yourself, like you've set out quite clearly so far in the chat why you do what you do, and it's it's definitely not for those reasons. What are your thoughts on people like that? Because there are obviously operators out there who are doing that kind of thing.
A couple of things. First of all, you see them start and putting videos on, but they don't last long. People think that do what myself and DJ do is easy. And I'll be honest, I work generally 7 days a week, you know, and it's not hard physical work, but it's long hours. You know, you go out early in the morning, you get in late at night, you do that 2, sometimes 3 days a week. And then, as you know, with doing these podcasts, there's a lot of hours editing and uploading and everything else. And these people think it's an easy way to make a quick buck. Now, don't get me wrong, you can earn good money doing,
YouTube
what we do, YouTube and things. You can earn good money, but they think it's an easy throw. And secondly, I think that I've been attacked a few times. I think once they've had a couple of smacks in mouth,
Really?
they decide it's not for them.
So actually, I've seen a few videos where people have been pushed, which I know falls under assault, but have you actually been physically punched as well?
Oh, yeah.
Right, good deal.
Yeah, I had one where a security guard attacked me, and I put that on YouTube, but the company got it took down. I had one at
For what reason? That's not acceptable in any industry, let alone security. You know,
I think they got it took down because of trademark, because you could see it was a building site.
It'd be reputational damage.
Probably, yeah.
I'm sure the individual was dealt with accordingly.
Yeah, you would hope
so. I had one threaten to give me a good hiding. He got sacked the next day.
A security officer?
Yeah. That was at Doncaster, where they were building a new Amazon site. Just come up, demanded I turn my camera off. Go away, you know.
Again, kind of comes back to that education piece, doesn't it?
I was just going to say that.
A lot of the problems with people at the other end of the lens tends to be because of a naivety or a lack of awareness and education on what yours or anyone who's doing your line of work, what your rights are, with a camera in your hand, with a drone in your hand.
I think the other thing as well is that you get these people that'll walk 100 yards, come and stand in front of a man with a camera and then say, don't video me, don't photograph me, you've no right to do it.
I've said that several times. I love your comments on that.
Yeah, well, go away.
Yeah, I think it's hilarious.
You know, it's ridiculous. Why would you walk all that distance up to a man with a camera knowing that it's filming and then demand not to be filmed?
Yeah, it's just a joke.
And they've got half the time they've got no other argument other than I haven't given you permission to video me. You know?
It's bizarre, isn't it?
I must admit, I do feel sorry, it's because I'm from the industry, I do feel sorry for some of the security officers who don't know the regulations, because I don't necessarily think it's their fault. It's not something that there's no training as standard, if you will. Yeah, that's a point. So I do feel sorry for them sometimes, because you watch the videos and you think, oh, you've made yourself look stupid there. Yeah. So we do try and do things a bit different. So we have training courses for our staff, so just to educate them, one, on what the regulations are, but two, how to deal with people who are audits. So our sort of outlook on it is, if someone was auditing one of our sites, I would expect our employee to go over, engage with them, and actually answer a few questions. Tell them when they can do. Tell them what the site is. Perhaps show them part of the site if they can do, because I think what that does is it. Perhaps not someone like you or a DJ, but the ones that do try to antagonise, it'll diffuse it straight away. Yeah. So that's what we try and do from a depth.
It's getting now so more and more people know what we do. There's less, and DJ will tell you the same, there's less people come up with an aggressive attitude than they used to. I'll walk around an industrial estate and all the time...
Sorry, PJ, carry on.
All the time I'm walking around, I've got people driving past in vans shouting, PJ! You know, and,
But there's also a new generation, isn't
there's
there?
always a new generation, and I get security guards coming up and saying, I watch your videos and stuff like that. But yeah, I totally agree that part of the SIA course now ought to, excuse me, it ought to include dealing with photographers and a certain amount of drone laws, etc., etc.
It might be bad for business though for you and DJ. You might get a few less clicks.
But I don't want the aggro. I'd rather have people come up and tell me about the company.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't get as many clicks, but I'm not in it for the money. I don't need the money.
It'd be
It's
interesting.
nice.
Sorry?
But it's nice.
It's not bad.
Seriously, I don't do it for the money. I don't need the money.
So just I was talking about the money, the advertising bit. So the way I understand it, I think you actually explained it on one of your videos to, I'm not sure it was a copper or a individual that you sort of have a decent conversation with. That I'd say, for example, YouTube, you have like an advert at the start, one in the middle, one at the end, and you get sort of 60% of that revenue for that advert, and the goes to YouTube. Is that still the case?
Yeah.
I didn't even know that's how it works.
Yeah, that's how we get paid. And it's same with Facebook
Right.
and TikTok.
So sort of, what sort of figures are you talking for an advert? I've got to ask the question.
Tell him to shut up, PJ. Don't tell him. We're going to have an Alan Briley auditing channel in a few weeks.
It's pro rata.
I love it.
It varies from video to video.
Doesn't it vary from the amount of views you get? So if it's under, like, I don't know, just spitballing numbers, I know these aren't accurate, but if it's under 10,000, you'll get X amount. If it's under 50,000 views, you'll get X. Or is it?
No, not really. Not really, because I've had videos that have had 8,000 views and people bid on it. What happens is people will bid to put their adverts on the video. I've had some where I earn might be £2 or £2.50 per 1,000 views, and then I've had others where I'm earning £10, £11 per 1,000 views. So, and it depends on the time of year as well. Like October, November, December, building up to Christmas, the revenue goes up. Because there's more and more people advertising. January, you might as well stop at home and watch telly. You know. No, January is the revenue's not as good in January. Middle of February it starts to pick up again, but I'm not bothered because I'm going to be in.
And do you choose? They come to you and you say, that you can advertise.
No, it's all done. Google do everything.
Google does.
That's what their 40%'s for.
Right. So I was going to say, try and get the podcast advertised in between, but then judging by some of the views you get, we're not paying that much. Cost a bomb.
So, I mean, you mentioned before about being assaulted a couple of times. Has there ever been an occasion where you've been kind of at risk or close to being arrested or in trouble with the police or anything on any of your content?
I had a policewoman insist she was going to arrest me in Gainsborough one day because I refused to give her my details.
Did you? I have no idea on the law. Was it something that you needed to do, or you didn't?
The only reason you need to give a police officer your details is if you've been arrested.
Oh, okay. So officer.
If you've been detained.
So officers.
And then you can still wait till you get to the police station before you do that. DJ's been arrested a couple of times.
Right. What for?
Refusing to give his details.
So that's a wrongful arrest then?
That's right, and then he sued the police.
I was just going to say,
I would have
I've
seen a few of his videos where he said, I'm in the process of suing this police department.
Yeah.
wrongful arrest.
So has he actually gone through it and sued people?
Yeah. It was filming one place, and this I think he was an inspector or something, grabbed him and wrestled him to ground and kept him locked up for about 8 hours, and he got quite a decent amount. for that.
So here's a question for you, and you might not like it. Why not just give the details? Because if a police officer came over to me and said, "What's your name?" I'd tell them my name straight away. Is there a reason behind not giving it? Is it because you don't have to, or
because you don't have to? Yeah. You see, the thing about auditing really is showing people that you can stand up for your civil rights.
Right.
You have a right to photograph in public. You have a right to fly your drone. You have a right to withhold your name from the police. Mm. The police have to have a legitimate reason to arrest you, or detain you, and they can't demand your details unless they detain you. Mm. You know, they've got to, and if they do, they're in trouble. That's what part of auditing is about, is people standing up for the civil rights.
Right. So, question for Alan and Alex: Have you guys ever had any of your sites that you were managing at that time audited?
I have, yeah. I've had one actually. It was.
Was it PJ?
It was, yeah.
Oh, right.
It actually was. You've done two. So one was Legal and General over in Sherburn and Elmet.
I think I was with Marty at the time, big black guy.
I'm not sure. I think it was just yourself. There's a guy called Steve who was a security officer that engaged you. Because I think he pointed out, you already knew, but he pointed out that you couldn't fly your drone because there's an airfield not far away from the site.
Oh, it's Sherburn and Elmet. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think, what company was that?
It was Legal and General Modular Homes. Big, huge
That's right, yeah. And I was surprised because I always thought Legal in General was just insurance. Mm. And, I remember that. He was quite a nice guy, actually.
Yeah, I remember watching it at the time thinking, oh my God,
It's come across all right.
And he dealt with you. If you were going to write a textbook on a security officer, how you kind of approach just anyone in public, never mind an auditor, just anyone in public, he was calm, he was respectful.
It was very good. I remember the incident.
I think he listens and watches to a few of the episodes, so props, Steve, for that one.
Yeah, we had a nice chat.
Yeah, one of the other ones, I'll tell you off camera. We'll go into it now because it raises a good point. It was a site in Sheffield. This is a few years ago now. This is probably, I'm trying to think. I think this was pre-COVID, so this might have been around about 2019, early 2020. It
wouldn't have been me then.
Oh no, sorry, after COVID. It definitely was you. I'll find it.
It was a good-looking head.
Yeah. And it was so the security officer in question phoned me at the time of the audit because the person didn't have their SIA license on them, and they said, right, video's going to go out there, you're going to see I don't have my license on me, I'm going to get sacked. And really worried, really upset. And then when the video went out, there was a bit of a pile-on in the comments about the person's appearance. So it was a bit of a flippant, jokey comment that you made in the video about some gates, which was kind of a bit of an innuendo to this person's appearance. And then the pile-on in the comments was pretty brutal. Obviously, that's not within your control.
I think I know which one you mean. Was it out Mansfield way? No,
it wasn't. It was near Brinsworth.
Near Brinsworth?
Yeah. But anyway, my point would be that person literally, when they saw the comments coming through, phoned me in tears, like inconsolable, really upset. I mean, obviously, people commenting on a video, that's completely out of your control, so I'm not blaming you for that. But what's your thoughts on kind of that almost after effect of, people piling on and almost to a degree, almost cyberbullying?
The majority of them that get absolutely hammered in the comments ask for it. They really do. And some people get picked on when they don't really deserve it, and I do feel for them sometimes. But there again, you haven't seen my comment.
No, absolutely. I'm not saying.
But I do feel for them sometimes. I really do. And
No, it's just interesting that you have an awareness of that, and you don't just see it and think, well, that's not my problem. That's nice to see.
I think the question I was going to ask there, do you ever intervene in those comments and just put your own, just calm it down, lads, he's just doing his job, whatever it might be?
I do at times, yeah. And when I'm making these videos, I don't deliberately go out of my way to make somebody look stupid or incompetent.
No. They do that for themselves.
They do that themselves, yeah. The only time I do that is if they're being an absolute tool.
Yes, get that.
And if they're being a tool, then I think to myself, well, you're getting everything you asked for. You're going to get everything that you've asked for.
Have you had any sites that...
No, I haven't. I mean, we've had all sorts of interactions where people come aside with cameras, just but not recently anyway. So.
I've had 3, so I don't know who did the audit. I know we had one at Kellogg's, which was, is it over Hull way? It's quite a few years ago. One of Neil's sites, and then we had one in Leeds, and I'll tell you the location after this.
Was it me?
It wasn't you. It was. He's a Leeds lad.
Marty.
Is he quite tall and dangly?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Marty who did it.
Marty can be a little abrasive at times.
There was, to be honest with you, he was, but then on the other side, our employee behaved completely inappropriate. So that was an interesting one. And then the other one, I thought the guy's name who I was talking about beforehand, Charlie Beach, is called. Charlie did one of the depth sites in Manchester, but it was really, really sort of well dealt with, so it was really good. But it's interesting. I'll see these videos pop up every so often, and you click on it and you think, please don't be my site, please don't be my site, please don't be my site. And then when it comes on, you can sort of relax a tiny bit. Yeah. But
I think Charlie doesn't go out of his way to antagonise people unnecessarily. Okay, he responds if people are being, a bit aggressive or a bit stupid. But
and he'll handle himself as well. So I've seen
him. Yeah. I think he seems to be okay with people who are okay.
Yeah.
But if people, and I won't swear, but if people are a bit like that, he'll give them a bit.
Yeah. Well, we all do, don't we?
Yeah.
We all do.
So I've noticed recently, PG, you've started doing like almost reaction videos to other auditors.
Yeah.
I think I saw in another video that you were talking about almost scaling back what you're doing now. Is that what the future holds for you? Do you see you going out there less doing your own videos and maybe kind of, like you said, doing these reaction voiceover?
Yes and no. To be honest, I've had so much on just lately, it's absolutely unreal. I'm starting a new business up.
Another?
Yeah. Like I say, I can't sit on my backside and do nothing. So I'm starting a new business up, so I've had all the aggro of setting up a limited company, sorting out bank accounts, sorting out accountants, and everything else like that. And
what is it that you're doing? Can you say on camera, or you don't have to if you don't want to?
I'd rather leave it as a shock. I mean, it's no, it's nothing to do with auditing. It's
You're not starting a security company, are you? You're going to be a competitor.
You give the game away. No, I'm going to do. I will tell you. I'm going to do. I'm going to work in property.
Right. Do you need any security or cleaning? Because we can do that for you.
Well, to be honest, I'm going to be flipping houses.
Well, we can clean them. You get it ready. We'll come and clean it for you. Then you can sell it on.
Right. Okay.
Big market.
Yeah, I'm going to be buying houses that not necessarily falling down, but need modernising a little bit. New bathrooms, tidying up and everything. Doing that and then selling them on.
Cool.
That's the intention at the moment. With that, I mean, I've got 3 daughters, and it'll give them a bit of financial security because they've got young kids, so they're not working at the moment. The kids are just at that age where they're starting school now, so this time next year the kids will be at school full time, so they can have a part-time job, not building but clearing the
we do.
rubble out,
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
and you know, just general labouring and,
good.
and
Yeah,
stuff like that. And then when eventually I do packing, you know, when they nail the lid on the box and chuck me in the hole or in the furnace or wherever I end up, then hopefully they're going to have a viable business for them to
Legacy.
carry on, because obviously they're not going to want to do the YouTube videos. And
It sounds like you're going to be busy then for the next couple of years, getting that business up and running.
I'm
and
always busy.
always busy.
And the other thing as well is that sometimes, you know, I still make videos. I go to Egypt a lot. I've got an apartment in Egypt. I go to Egypt a lot. And sometimes it's a pain making videos when I'm on holiday. You know, all I want to do is go and crash out by the pool or
Yeah.
go down to the beach or go to the bar and have a beer. I only have two, though. I'm not a drinking man. But they do a beautiful steak at this place here, Waves. Down on the marina in Hagada. That's the place to go.
Thank God.
But when I go on holiday, I want to go on holiday. I don't mind making the odd video. And the reaction videos, I can do those on holiday.
Yeah,
anyway. But if I've got this property business going, then my kids can look after it while I'm away. You know, and
I'll tell you what would be interesting, getting someone like PJ or a DJ who could potentially come and look at one of our sites and sort of, we can see whether the training we've put into place with our staff pays off, and whether they remember what the regulations are and they remember how to engage with
inside
people.
auditing.
Yeah.
well, do you have training days?
We do.
You know? Yeah, it might be worth me coming up, or DJ.
That'd be
DJ
awesome.
lives in
Yeah, yeah.
Leicester. It might be worth me coming up one day and having a word with them and just, you know, perhaps a bit of interaction or role play how to deal with an auditor.
That'd be really good.
Show a few of your sort of more choice videos. That'd be awesome, yeah.
Some of the good,
Well,
some of the bad.
Yeah,
show them one or two of the tricks of the trade.
Yeah,
you know, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. That'd be great.
And how auditors try to wind up security guards
Yeah.
and, you know,
I like that.
and things like that, and just explain the drone laws to them for a start. And photography is not a crime.
It might be worthwhile because we're putting together a new induction video. If PJ's up for it, and obviously we'll reimburse you for your time, get him to get him. You can meet Solvay, record a little piece to say, look, this is what I do. This is what you need to do. So build it in with the induction.
Yeah,
As long as you pay me in coffee, I'm fine.
So
Go and see a
we've got a
coffee.
lovely coffee machine in the office. You'll be fine.
Listen, Pete, thank you so much for coming up. I know you've travelled up to Leeds from Worksop. Thank you so much for giving us your time. It's been a really insightful, really interesting chat, and everything I wanted it to be. So thank you so much for that. We'll drop a link in our YouTube channel where you can find all Pete's socials and all his channels, and we'll share that obviously on our LinkedIn as well. And I'm sure, Pete, your audience will be able to catch this video on yours as well. We'll share the edit with you so you can put it out to your audience.
I'll share your link on mine as well.
Brilliant. All right, well, until next time, thanks everyone, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
I'll see you there.